At 7:25 p.m. on May 6, 1937, the German airship Hindenburg caught fire in mid-air. It burned for exactly 34 seconds. In roughly half a minute, one of the largest flying machines ever constructed, an 800-foot luxury hotel, the entire ship was completely destroyed. 36 people died. It happened in front of hundreds of witnesses at the Lakehurst Naval Air Station. Broadcasters recorded live audio. Multiple newsreel cameras stationed at the airfield captured the disaster from multiple angles. Yet, 87 years later, despite the witnesses, the audio, and the incredibly detailed photographic evidence, we still do not know with certainty what started the fire. Answering that question matters. Whatever sparked the flame, whether a natural accident or a deliberate act, dictates exactly who bears responsibility for the deaths of those 36 passengers and crew. To understand the crash, we have to look at the volatile political climate of the 1930s. The airship was designed to fly using helium, an inert, safe gas. But at the time, the United States was the primary global source of helium, and Congress strictly banned its export. This forced the ship's engineers to use highly flammable hydrogen gas instead. Operating out of Germany under the early Nazi regime, the ship was drafted into service as a tool for state propaganda. That massive flying canvas made the Hindenburg a highly visible political target. On the evening of May 6th, as the ship prepared to dock, observers on the ground noticed a small flame appear near the upper tail fin, right around gas cells 4 and 5. Because the fire started in the rear and moved quickly toward the front, the structure angled downward. This grim sequence of physics gave the people in the forward sections a precious few extra seconds to escape. 62 of the 97 people on board managed to survive. You have a ship forced to fly on combustible gas, operating as a floating symbol for an increasingly hostile regime. It was a combination that left the door wide open for intentional sabotage and for governments highly motivated to control the narrative. In 1937, American and German investigators concluded that a buildup of static electricity from stormy weather likely sparked a discharge, igniting a hydrogen leak in the tail. But there is a glaring physical inconsistency with that official story. Pure hydrogen fires burn with a pale blue, nearly invisible flame, producing very little radiant heat. The fire captured on camera was intensely bright, moving fast and visibly radiating massive heat. This discrepancy led to a new hypothesis in 1997. Researchers proposed the airship's outer skin, coated in iron oxide and aluminum powder, was chemically similar to solid rocket fuel. But when independent laboratories tested those exact concentrations, they failed to replicate the extreme flammability. The skin simply didn't burn like rocket fuel. Which brings us to the darker theories. Some researchers argue an anti-Nazi crew member planted an incendiary device in the tail. Others suggest a rifleman fired a tracer bullet directly into the gas cells from the ground. The problem with proving any of these scenarios is the totality of the destruction. The intense heat completely obliterated the tail section. Any physical evidence of a timer, a bomb, or a bullet hole burned up along with the ship. We also have to factor in investigative bias. In 1937, the Nazi regime was terrified of the propaganda humiliation of a successful sabotage. The United States wanted to avoid diplomatic fallout and awkward questions about its strict helium embargo. Both sides had strong political incentives to quickly agree on an accidental static electricity ignition. The official investigations aren't necessarily wrong, they are simply incomplete. Their conclusions were heavily shaped by diplomatic self-preservation, leaving massive gaps in the scientific record. The cultural impact was instantaneous. Watching a luxury liner fall from the sky in theaters around the world destroyed public trust. The era of passenger airships effectively ended overnight. The collateral damage was immense. Perfectly safe sister ships with pristine flight records were permanently grounded and eventually scrapped for parts. The engineers and captains who spent their lives pioneering lighter-than-air travel died without ever knowing what actually brought down their greatest achievement. Over the decades, the burning Zeppelin has been reduced to a generic visual metaphor. We treat it as a mythical tale of human hubris, a punishment for the arrogance of trying to build a flying hotel. But the Hindenburg didn't burn because of a metaphor. It burned because of a specific mechanical or perhaps deliberate sequence of events that took the lives of 36 real people on a Thursday evening in New Jersey. We have the photos, we have the live audio, we have the survivor testimony, but the Hindenburg endures as a quiet, unsettling warning. Having absolute visual documentation of a disaster does not guarantee we will ever truly understand it.